We are live on Yonkers Voice page. And today our guest is Councilwoman Shanae Williams, hopefully soon to become Westchester County Clerk, Shanae Williams. Welcome to the show, Shanae.
Hi, hello everyone. Happy to be here. Thank you for having me, Ruth.
Thank you. Shanae, it feels like it was yesterday that I met you at the City Hall. Years had gone by. You became a seasonal politician. You understand what you understand everything about what people need, what people want. So, but now you're trying to move to a different stage. Tell us how that came about, Shanae.
So I made a face when you said a seasoned politician because I don't see myself as a seasoned politician. I'm a public servant. I'm here to do a job to serve the people of my community, and that's just my definition of who I am and what I'm doing here. So that's why I made that face like, but I'm running for Westchester County Clerk. I'm running because, I think that the government should work for the people on all levels. Certainly locally, it's so important to have, a progressive leadership in countywide government. And I think I bring that to the table. And more importantly, Ru, there's a lot of changes happening throughout our county. I look back and I think about where I was 15 years ago, and I was in high school. And I went to Hastings High School, and I could actually literally count the amount of Black and Indigenous and Black and people of color on my two hands that I went to school with, that was in the building every day. If I were to go back to Hastings High School now and try to do that, I would happily fail, but I would fail nonetheless because it's changed so much. Our communities have changed and getting more diverse, and it's not the same Westchester it was 15, 20 years ago. And I think it's important for the government to be in tune with that and to reflect that. So I'm running for Westchester County Clerk because I believe that we can make the clerk's office more equitable, more transparent, more accessible, and certainly, bring a new voice of leadership to the county in general. So I hope that I can get the support of the people.
Well, Shanae, I think it's safe to assume that when I decide to run for something and there is somebody there already, it's because I feel that I can do a better job, meaning representing the people and the people's interests a little better. Maybe I understand the people in my county, the people in my city, and I understand that they might not be represented in a way that they should have. What would set you apart from whoever is there now? Why should my vote go to you and not to the other person?
Well, because I represent the future. I think when you're in office for a really long time, you get comfortable and you get complacent. You don't necessarily, you lose touch with the community. I'm very connected. I'm here. I have, a view of the clerk's office that my opponent doesn't have, just for the simple fact that I am a young Black woman. I'm, an immigrant. I, represent so many different marginalized communities. And I think it's important for those communities to have a voice and to have representation and to make sure that we're constantly keeping up with the times, and also just making sure that we can bring the office into the future and not lose touch. And that's what I'm bringing to the table. And that's why you should vote for me, because my lens is so unique, because I bring a different voice to leadership on a countywide level.
So Shanae, in other words, the future is here today?
I would say so. Future is now. We can't keep, dwelling on the past. There's a lot of good things that's come out of our government over the past, few years, and we want to continue up on that and build on that. But we have to keep in mind who we're serving. And the bottom line is we're serving the people of Westchester. The demographics have changed. We have to keep up with that. We have to make sure that we're putting senior citizens, at the forefront. We're putting, young people and undocumented people. We're putting struggling businesses at the forefront to make sure that they have resources, to make sure that they have services, to make sure that we're working for them. Because like I said, the government is supposed to work for the people, and the best way to do that, Ru, is what? to give the people the resources and the services and the information that they need so that one, they can help themselves, and two, so that we can help our community grow and prosper. So I think there's an opportunity to do that through the clerk's office that hasn't been done. It's totally underutilized in my opinion. And I have some ideas of how we can change that.
Shanae, just before we go further into the interview, can you give us a short description of what the Westchester County Clerk's job entitles? What does it cover?
Right.
Is the entire Westchester County? Is some parts of the Westchester County? Let's start there, please.
Well, it's a countywide office, so it's all of Westchester County. The clerk's office is responsible. It's more of a management position, making sure that all of the recordings that need to happen are done properly. It's a record-keeping office, so land records. If you have a mortgage, if you have a deed or a title, all of those information will get filed with the clerk's office. If you are, going through the court system in Westchester, you're suing somebody, or you're getting a divorce, for example, those important documents get recorded with the clerk's office. If you are looking to get certain licenses, like, you have to go through the clerk's office, pistol license, for example. If you are, a young, or you don't have to be young, if you're an entrepreneur or you're starting a new business, chances are you're going to have to go do paperwork and file that through the clerk's office. There are other clerk's office, and I don't want to, I try not to confuse a lot of people, because there are other services that smaller offices throughout the county, like, we have our city clerk here in Yonkers, and, they have him in New Rochelle and in Greenburgh. There's different roles that they play. Like they'll do they'll keep track of like the birth certificates and the death certificates, stuff like that. But the county clerk's office is a much wider office. And those are the bigger departments that I mentioned earlier, the legal services and the land records. But also you have the clerk swears in new citizens. So if you are a naturalized citizen, you can go to the clerk's office in Westchester and he'll swear you in. You can get your passport through the clerk's office. You can get other resources that's if you want to look up your criminal record, you can go to the clerk's office for that. So I think it's important for people to kind of just understand what that means. And I'm glad that you asked me that, because what I'm finding, Rue, is not many people throughout Westchester is familiar with that office or what it does. And up until this point, up until I announced that I was running against the incumbent for this position, a lot of people didn't really know or pay too much attention to that office. But I think that that's a shame, because there's ways to utilize that office to bring more information directly to communities, especially marginalized communities. And that hasn't been done. And I like to just give a clear understanding of what I mean by that. Just last year, we were doing the census, right? Everybody throughout Westchester was trying to make sure that, all of these different municipalities were trying to make sure that people were registering and filling out the census and being counted. I helped spearhead one of the complete count committees here in Yonkers, for example. What I noticed was missing, correct me if I'm wrong, but the clerk's office was not out in communities letting people know about the census and trying to get people to sign up and be counted. And I think that's a shame, because it's an office that could very much do that. When you get into office, you want to do the job that's required, but then you want to take it a step further and really proactively bring resources and information to people. And I'm currently doing that now in the city council, in that I'm here to do a job to make sure that we balance our budget, to make sure that we, create legislation and laws that benefit the city of Yonkers and the residents of Yonkers. But I take it a step further. When there's tragedy, I go into the community and try to help. And
I'm out.
I know I talk a lot. I'm sorry, but I'm just saying there's just so much more. I'm very passionate about it, because there's so much that we can do from the platform that the clerks have.
I know, Shanae, but the only problem with you talking is that then you're going to answer all my questions before I even ask.
All right, you got it.
No, but that was good, Shanae, because you actually educated me a little bit on what is the job of Westchester County Clerk. And I am sure that just like me, there is many other people. And educating and informing what is the job description of each elected official, I think it's very, very important. Now, Shanae, before we go much further, you know this is a live, it's a live interview, and there is people asking questions. I don't know if this is a valid question, but I ask anyway. I'm not sure if there is a plan for the person who's seeking this position, or if the plan is already preset and you're just going to conform to what the job specification is. This is what this person is asking. This is Daryl Thomas. What is the plan?
Just what is the plan for when I become county clerk?
Well, I assume.
The plan
if you are elected, what is the plan?
That's a broad question, but my plan is to bring resources and services that the clerk's office have directly to communities, directly to the people, so that they can be informed, one, so that they can help themselves, and so that, you know, we're being transparent and inclusive. So that is the plan. The plan is to be transparent. The plan is to bring services and resources directly to communities to make sure that it's equitably being distributed countywide. And I'll give an example, Mr. Thompson. The clerk's office currently have a mobile passport office, and I think that's great. But I also think that that's a problem in that when you think about passports and who have access to passports, it's limiting. It's for privileged people who can afford to travel, right? So when I think about that, and I'm saying, okay, what more can the clerk's office do with this mobile office? Why is it only providing passports? What other forms of identification can you issue through that mobile office? What other resources can you give out in communities with that mobile office? And more importantly, where is that mobile office? I've never seen it in my district in Yonkers. Maybe you've seen it on the east side. I know that I heard that it's been there, but people don't know. So you have to actively bring that information and resources to people, meet them where they are, not wait for them to come to us to get that information, right? And you also want to expand upon what you're giving out because it's important. So that's what I mean when I say we want to do more. We want to be more transparent and inclusive. And that's the plan, to take it a step further and go into the future, make sure that we're, utilizing 21st century tools to reach people, because here we are with a Zoom, Facebook Live meeting, like not everybody can be on Zoom. We know that, but it's a very effective way to reach a lot of people, right? And so we have to think about how to get up to speed and make sure that the clerk's office is certainly up to speed. When I look at the website, I go around and I tell people, this is shameful. This is not okay. You have a lot of senior citizens that are at the head of all of these different scams going on. And if they want to look something up, if they're going through the court system, they want to understand something, how to get access to their deeds or something, they shouldn't have to hire someone to do that. They should be able to go online and find it. And oftentimes they don't know how to go online and find it. So the clerk's office can play a role in that by making sure that they're helping the senior citizens, directly going to them and showing them how to do these things. But the website has to be updated. It has to be easy to use so that a third grader could use it, and right now that's not the case. So I would certainly, the plan would also be to update the website to, I'm talking a lot. I'm the person on the outside looking in, and I recognize that, but just being on the outside looking in, I can see that there are ways to make some improvements there. And that's what I bring to the table. And that's what I intend to do. But once I get there, of course, I'm going to do everything that's required by charter. Of course, I'm going to do all of the recordings and all of the filings and everything like that. But I want to do more. And I think that the residents of Westchester County deserve that.
Now, I'm not sure if you had talked to lots of people in Yonkers, people in a district that you represent, you didn't talk to me about this, okay? And if you had spoken to me about you running for Westchester County Westchester County Clerk, I would say, no way, Jose. I want you right here in Yonkers because I can run to the city hall when I need you and find you there. So, but you have lots of work here in Yonkers. Some people are happy, some people are not, but that's life. but you have accomplished some things in Yonkers. And I am a very proponent of people that we should vote based on record. Let's talk a little bit about the things that you have accomplished in Yonkers, which will give us an idea of your strength, inner strength to accomplish things that now you're going to take to the Westchester County and also accomplish different goals. Tell us about your accomplishments here in Yonkers, Shanae.
Thanks, Drew. So since I've been on the council, one of the first things that we did when we got to the city council 4 years ago was make sure that before this became a popular thing due to the pandemic, we started airing all of our city council meetings on Facebook Live. That's important. That's how you build a bridge and be transparent and inclusive. Everything that I do on the city council right now is what I'm proposing that I will be doing on the countywide level. So the fight doesn't stop if I get elected to a different position. It just means that I have a broader platform and more to say on a wider scale and reach more people, and the support will build from there, right? So in addition to just being transparent, for example, Facebook meetings, I'm a big believer in listening to people. Now, when I came in on the city council, a lot of people, what I heard a lot of was government, all these politicians, they never tell us about anything until after it's done. As affordable housing and development, economic development is a big deal in my district. And I knew that going in, and that's something that I ran on, right? But what I decided to do is be that agent of change in my district by making sure that people are a part of the process every step of the way from beginning to end. And I am proud that I've been able to, I think I might have had probably the most town halls than anybody else on the council currently, because I have so much going on in my district and I want to make sure that the people are a part of that. So I'm constantly having community meetings, letting people know what's going on, bringing the developers together with the community to have those conversations so that people are part of the process. And I think that's a huge accomplishment. I've created a lot of local ordinances and laws that's been passed. My record is there. Like you said, it's important to look at the record. I've fought for more inclusion and equity and making sure that our Muslim community have the two holidays that they've been fighting for years, making sure that those holidays were recognized by the city and our school district, and now it is. And I'm very proud of that. And I think the community at large is very happy with that. And in the same way, we're looking to do the same thing with Juneteenth in this year's budget. So there's a lot of different things that I can branch off and talk about, but I think for the purpose of my candidacy for county clerk, I want to focus on what that's about. I want to focus on how we get to a future where our county as a whole is more united, where elected officials are advocating for issues that matters all around the county. Like, one of the things that I'm fighting for currently is bringing more affordable housing to Yonkers. But that's not a unique issue to Yonkers. It's a countywide issue. And if I'm elected, I will use the platform that I have there to continue to advocate and fight for this issue, right? So I'll stop there because I see you're looking at me kind of funny, but I think it's important for more dialogues, for people to actually maybe take a look at the different votes that I've made over the past several years. In my tenure on the council, because it shows that I am a very progressive person and always have been. And I think that's the kind of leadership that you need on the county level.
Well, Shanae, I was going to bring up the affordable housing. I know it's a subject that you take to heart. It's a subject that is personal to you. And I was going to ask, how are you going to continue to fight for affordable housing? Now it's not going to be just Yonkers, it's going to be the county. What's your plan on that?
Yeah, I mean, I think my plan is to hopefully get it passed this year before I leave, one. And two, once that happens and I am in the county, I can I can have meetings with other municipalities throughout the county and let them know about what we were able to accomplish here in Yonkers and how to expand that countywide. That's very important. And I think, you know, obviously I won't be a legislator in the county role, county clerk's role, but I will have a voice. And I think that transcends more than anything.
Now, Shanae, the position that you're seeking, does it have, it's a question from Carolyn Elizabeth Marie. So I'm going to ask you in a reverse way of the way that she posed. Does the position have a term limit? And if it does not, should it have?
That's a good question. No, the position is not term limited. I am a fan, I've always have been a fan of term limits. I think, you know, whether I'm elected or not, I'm going to advocate and push for term limits for the clerk's office, the county clerk's office. You know, there's no reason for anyone to be in office more than 2 or 3 terms, in my opinion. If the county executive can commit to doing 2 terms, I think the county clerk can also commit to doing 2 terms, and that should be implemented right away.
So you think that under no conditions, one person should not do no more than 2 or no more than 3 terms? What do you
2 or
think?
3 terms, I think anything past 12 years is way too much. You get complacent, you lose touch with the community, you feel entitled that that it's your job and no one else's. But it's important to have that change and that turnover, because then you're able to bring in new voice, new leadership, new ideas. And that is what we want. That's how you move forward and move into the future. My opponent has been there for 16 years and he's seeking another 4 years. To be in an office for 20 years, that's entirely too much.
So in other words, if you couldn't do what you promised in the first 12 years, I'm sure you're not going to do anything else after the 12 years, correct?
I should quote you. That's perfect statement, Ru.
Now, what else, Shanae? You are a young woman. You came into politics, how long? Well, into government, representing the people. I won't make that mistake again. About what? How many years ago, Shanae?
10 years ago now.
10 years ago. Time went fast.
Yep, straight out of college.
Yes, and we can see you moving forward. I'm going to ask you a question that I know exactly what you're going to answer me, but I have to ask anyway.
Is that predictable?
Yeah, I know exactly, because all these politicians answer that question in the same way. I'm focused on the now, the blah, blah, blah. I'm going to ask you,
okay,
what are your goals, Shanae? I'm looking at you as a young woman, councilwoman. Now you're seeking Westchester County Clerk. What's next, Shanae? What is your goal?
What's next is Westchester County Clerk, Bruce.
You see, I knew the answer. You see, I knew the answer.
That's next. Honestly, I don't plan. I'm not a career politician, and I don't plan to be one. When I see an issue and I see something that is important to me, I go after it and I try to address it. And what I see, Ru, is an opportunity to bring new ideas and new ways of governing to county government through the clerk's office. And that's what I intend to do. But I certainly, I'm not thinking about running for, a lot of people keep asking, are you gonna run for Senate? Or that's not on my agenda at all. What is on my agenda is serving the people from where I am and meeting them where they are to make sure that they are happy with the way that government is functioning.
Shanae, you telling me that you're not a politician, but look, that was a politician's answer.
I gave you a direct answer.
Look, Shanae, I see you with a very bright future. And the reason I'm asking that is because there is young girls and young men out there looking at you, okay? Mm-hmm. And they're saying, if Shanae could make it, I can make it. If Shanae can have these aspirations and reach them, I can reach them. So you're not just a politician. And when I see young folks like you seeking those jobs, that makes me very proud and very happy, because I can say that the future has arrived. Right. New ways of seeing things, new ways of working, new ideas, new minds. So I'm very happy for you and for all the other young folks. How has our election system changed? I'm looking at the last elections. Things have changed. People have spoken. The people have awoken. They awake now.
Yeah, I think they've been home during the pandemic for so long that they did what anybody else would do, which is take to, the internet and start paying attention to what's going on in government, and, taking to the streets and marching for Black Lives Matter and doing all of these things. And it's a revolution, and that's good. We want that. I apologize. You probably hear my dog in the background, but she's just seeking some attention right now, but I'll get to her after. But basically, Rue, I'm happy to see the changes that's happening across our country and across our county. I think it's important to have that representation for, like I said earlier in the beginning of this interview, the Hastings High School that I went to 15 years ago is not the same that it is now. And that's a positive thing. To have that diversity and inclusion is important. But we want to make sure that on a countywide level, we're seeing that same representation. There has never been a Black or Indigenous person of color. There's never been a person of color elected countywide. And here we are in 2021, and you have someone who's qualified, you have someone who's passionate, you have someone who has a vision for how to take the office into the 21st century and then some. And I think the people are excited about it. They want that change. They want to see that representation there. I would certainly be the first person to ever get elected countywide. Outside of like judges, there's never been a county executive, there's never been a county clerk, there's never been a county DA, etc. So people are open to what that might look like, and people want that kind of change, and they're welcoming it. And I think it's a good thing because, like you said, Rue, I guess I am the future. And just like how I looked up to Senator Andrea Stewart-Cousins, and how she has broken so many glass ceilings, and she's paved the way for someone like me to come and step in. And now I'm doing the same, following her footsteps. And there could be somebody coming after me who will follow into that footstep. So I think it's important to have that kind of hope and just diversity across the board.
Guys, I'm sorry, but you see, you have your dog seeking attention, and I have my little cat. She cannot, she had to come on. Now she's down. I give her 2 minutes, then she leaves.
Yeah.
I love animals.
Pet lovers. I'm all about the animals.
Oh, yes. So Shanae, what else? This is the time that you are speaking, and by the end of the day, thousands would have seen this interview. Maybe you're going to change some minds. Maybe there is people out there that are saying, should I vote for Shanae? Should I vote for her opponent? So this is a great time for you to tell me and others, why should I vote for you? I know that you already in opening statement, you basically said why, okay? Mm-hmm. But repeating it, because there is people that are logging in now, they didn't hear you before. So let's take this opportunity to tell us, or to tell the viewers, why should they vote for you?
Well, Rue, I think, or Westchester County, I'll speak to the whole county. I am someone who is, and always have been, a public servant. I was raised in the church, raised to serve, and that's why I'm on this path. And I envision a county that is inclusive, a county clerk's office that is equitable, that is making sure that they're putting the people first by giving them information and resources directly into their communities. And doing so, is so important, especially now in this time and day. We have to start thinking about the future. We have to start thinking about what we want government to look like. And I believe that the government should be working for the people 24/7. I believe that you should do your job, what's required, and then take it a step further and actively bring information to people. And that's what I see the clerk's office doing that hasn't been done. And that's why I am running for county clerk, because I believe that I can bring that to the table and effectively and efficiently serve the residents of Westchester County. And so I hope that you will give me an opportunity by voting for me in the primary in June 22nd, and also by just connecting with me. If you have questions moving forward, or you want to know something about my candidacy, or why I make a decision the way that I make it, or what have you, it's important to have dialogue. And so I welcome that. So Rue, if it's okay with you, I'm going to ask that you just put my information in the chat because I can't do it right now, but contact me. I'm on all social media platforms at Shanae for Clerk. That's the number 4, SHANAE 4 Clerk. Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. Follow me, learn more about the campaign. If you want to volunteer, I welcome it. This is a completely, grassroots and people-led movement. I am not getting any support from the establishment, so to speak, and that's okay because I understand that I am challenging the incumbent. But this campaign is about you, the people. It's about making sure that you have that voice in countywide government that hasn't been provided through the clerk's office. It's making sure that you have what you need to be your best you and to be informed and to grow as a person and as a community. So with that, Shanae for Clerk, my phone number, I'll even put it out there if whoever wants to call me. It's 914-409-2006. Very easy to remember. And you can also email me at williamsforcountyclerk@gmail.com.
I was going to ask you those questions, but you
beat you to it.
You did. So the establishment is not supporting you. Now, I remember at the Democratic Convention, you wrote a letter the next day, right, Shanae?
No, I posted a video. Tell us
about that. Tell us about that, Shanae.
Well, I intended to go to the county convention. Leading up to the convention, I went to several different committees throughout the county to meet with folks and introduce myself. And one of the questions that kept coming up was, if you don't get the endorsement by the Democratic Party, what are you going to do? Are you going to continue towards the primary, or are you going to support the incumbent or what have you? And I thought about it and I told people, listen, I will get back to you. I will let you know my answer at the day of the convention. Now, leading up to that, I knew before even any of this even started, I knew I wasn't going to get that endorsement, only because he's a likable guy. A lot of people have known him for a long time, and that's fine. People within the Democratic Party were split. There's people who really wanted to support me, and I am grateful for their support. There are people who wanted to support Tim, and that's okay. But then there are also people who wanted to support me but were afraid to because they didn't want any kind of retaliation. There were people who wanted to support me but had to endorse Tim, right? So I knew that the numbers weren't there for me to get the endorsement, and I never expected it going into this. But I did want to still speak to as many people as I possibly could to get my message out and to introduce myself. And so when I reached out to the leadership of the party, I spoke with the chairwoman and I told her, I'm more than happy to get my nomination and second nomination. I have my people ready. They're going to come and speak so that I can get an opportunity to address the district leaders as I had promised them. And she said, okay. And then she, said, well, you don't need to actually get nominated in a second. I'll just give you a point of privilege so you can come and speak for 5 minutes. I'm like, okay, great. So I go, silly me, and I canceled the folks who were going to nominate and second me. And I told them, listen, I'm going to speak anyway, so I don't need you to do that. So they made other plans. All day goes by. Minutes before the event, minutes before the meeting, exactly an hour before the meeting, actually, I got a call from the leadership, the leader of the party, and she told me, well, I don't want any issues. You have to go through the process and the rules of the convention and get nominated and seconded in order to speak. I can't give you that point of privilege to speak like we had agreed. So she simply just reneged on it very last minute. And here I am scrambling, trying to figure out, if these folks would make themselves available again. And it was a barrier that was put in my way that I felt was very, it just wasn't right. It was silly politics, and I'm not interested in playing politics. I'm interested in meeting people, in governing, in, just moving forward. I'm not, like I keep telling you, I'm really not a politician. I'm a people's person. I just want to get my message out to the people and let them decide. And so when that happened, I felt like it was kind of like a setup for me to look silly, and I just wasn't interested in playing the games. So I said, okay, no problem. I'm just not even gonna go. I'll take my message directly to social media to let other people know, listen, I am still running. I appreciate all of the support that I've received thus far, but I'm going to continue to go and let the people vote on June 22nd.
But you know, Shanae, I think it's sad that in this age, okay, we still feel that if we endorse or if we vote for somebody who we think is the best, and now I'm talking in general terms, not in your case, that there will be retaliations against us in one way or the other. You just said that some people wanted to support you, wanted to endorse you, but because of possible retaliation, the optics, they did not come forward. That is sad.
Well, you know, it's tough when you're so intertwined with the politics of it all, you know. And I think oftentimes people let the politics dictate how they move, and I'm just very different from that. I don't care for the politics, frankly speaking. I don't care for the politics. I don't care if I'm committing political suicide by doing X, Y, and Z. To me, none of that matters. I'm going to be here regardless. I'm going to continue to put my story out there and let my voice be heard and advocate for the people, because that's what I'm here for. And I just don't let the rest of it get to me. I just think that we should all kind of focus on the larger picture, and that is what kind of positive changes can we bring forward for our county and for our people.
You know, Shanae, that's one of the reasons that I personally am very happy to see new faces, new generations, new mindsets, you know, coming into the
we have to get away from the status quo and
exactly.
The same. We have to be independent. And if anybody knows me, they know that I am most certainly an independent person, but I'm also somebody who works with everyone. If you want to work with me, I will work with you. And I listen to everyone before making decisions. That's what a good leader does. You have to be able to listen and try to understand. And that's important. So okay. I hear you, Ru.
So that's one of the benefits. Mm-hmm. Change the narrative, change the way things are done. Okay, the reason why you and many others were elected, it's because we are kind of tired of the way it used to be. We want changes. We want those changes.
Change is good.
Change is good.
Change is good. You just got to embrace it. It's going to come eventually. And so embrace it.
People to understand that when they are elected to serve the people, not to serve the establishment. Mm-hmm. So do your job.
Or not to serve yourself or whatever your agenda is.
Exactly, because there is a lot of them that they dare to serve themselves. There is lots of them, but you dare to serve the people. Well, Shanae, I wish you the best. But before we conclude, let me just make this statement that the disclaimer, as I call it, as I do every time, we at Yonkers Voice don't endorse or oppose any candidate. We invite them all to come into our platform and talk about what they have to offer to the community. It's then up to you, to each one of you, to decide who deserves your vote. But vote based on record, vote based on what they can accomplish. Don't vote based on, I know the person, we have fun when we have a beer, I know his family. No, vote on what can they do for the people. Mm-hmm. So thank you, Shanae.
Thank you.
In closing,
you for having me. And again, Westchester, I hope to have your support. I humbly ask that you vote for me on June 22nd. Whenever, I think in a week from Tuesday, folks will be coming and knocking on your door and asking for your signature so that I can get my name on the ballot. Please open up, sign for them. We'll make sure that we're safe, wearing masks. We'll have hand sanitizers. We'll have pens and gloves on, so you'll be safe as well. So thank you.
So Shanae, just before we log off, tell the people once again, where are your platforms? Instagram, Facebook, I don't know if you have a web page.
Yes, you can also go to my website, shanaeforclerk.com, SHANAEFORCLERK.com. And you can connect with me directly through there, or if you're on social media, you can find my page. It's at Shanae for Clerk, the number 4. Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter, Shanae for Clerk.
Thank you, Shanae, and hope I will see you soon. Take care.
Thank you, Ru. Have a good one.